DCEU is dead. But what about all those cliffhangers? Well, we can only wonder, but still, the Direct gave us a list of those, and I thought I'd take a look at it. So yes, here we are, the Direct. Every DCEU cliffhanger that never got resolved. See, the sad thing is I won't be able to do that bit, but I'm sure quite a few are happy I won't be. So here we are. Lex Luthor forms a team in Justice League. I'm assuming they're referring to the Joss Whedon version. So, after plenty of fan casting, Joe Manganiello debuted as Slade Wilson, a.k.a. Deathstroke, in the post-credit scenes of Justice League. The infamous assassin was seen meeting Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor on a yacht to prepare some of their nefarious schemes following the first assembly of the League. Having recently escaped from prison, Luthor proposed to the two form a league of their own, laying the groundwork for the Injustice League or Legion of Doom. And I think they were going to go with Legion of Doom. The team presumably would have introduced the two present in the scene and characters such as Joker, Black Manta, and Cheetah. As the DCEU restarts the universe with a new Lex Luthor played by Nicholas Hoult, this cliffhanger probably won't be explored again. Well, no. After all, over 6 years have passed since this scene, with no continuation or further appearances from either villain, except for Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2021. Well, yeah, but there was always a plan of some sort. Justice League Part 2 was supposed to have Luthor having formed his Legion of Doom as he was seeking the anti-life equation for himself. Deathstroke would have gone on to the Batman film, and I'm sure they will get into that down here. Oh, yes, they do. But even the crazy lady who made the poison in the first Wonder Woman film, she would have been a part of this league. Of course, the intention was a Flash movie would have already happened, and I believe Captain Cold would have been introduced. But, you know, there were several different versions of the Flash. They were all scrapped and probably should have been scrapped altogether. But anyway, nevertheless, that was the deal. And then, of course, Aquaman would introduce Black Manta. And then they would all come together for Justice League 2 versus the Legion of Doom. But why call it the Legion of Doom instead of Injustice League? Well, Legion of Doom from the Super Friends show and all that. But also, Lex Luthor knows what's coming. He's communicated with Steppenwolf at the end of Batman vs. Superman. In a deleted scene, sure, but boy, it really needs to be in there for the story to work. And he pursues this with his knowledge, and the Riddler would play a role in it, and the Riddler would solve the anti-life equation. But it drove him crazy to where he, there wasn't any more Riddler by the end of the movie. Yeah, that scene played out right in front of Batman. But it never happened, so there you go. So on to Deathstroke versus Batman. Curiously, the Snyder Cut featured a different but similar okay, they're going to talk about the original post-credit scene. So, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor and Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, the exiting Stinger, still saw a recently escaped Luthor meeting with the assassin on a yacht, because Deathstroke's the one that got him out of prison. But this time, Luthor was hiring Deathstroke to destroy the Bat, instead of setting its sights on the whole Justice League. The scene makes it clear this mission was personal for Slade Wilson, implying Batman was the one to take out one of his eyes. I think actually the story would reveal that his son had died and he blamed Batman for it for some reason or another. I doubt that Batman actually killed his son, but probably in the course of fighting him or something along those lines, it resulted in it. And he just blames him, you know. So Luthor revealed the identity of the Dark Knight as Bruce Wayne, as the post-credit scene was placed to tease the assassin as the villain for Ben Affleck's abandoned Batman movie. This tease will go unresolved. The two cuts of Justice League remain Manganiello's only appearance as Deathstroke. And that's not true. He appeared in a another nightmare sequence in Zack Snyder's Justice League, where I guess he and Batman had kissed and made up and joined forces in trying to save Earth from Darkseid and Superman, being controlled by the anti-life equation. So anyway, speaking of Darkseid is coming for Earth, and that's the teaser from Justice League, the Zack Snyder version. So perhaps the biggest takeaway from Zack Snyder's Justice League compared to Joss Whedon's 2017 cut was how it left Darkseid coming for Earth and its heroes in search of the anti-life equation after the defeat of Steppenwolf. Darkseid ordered his legions ready their armada. We will use the old ways. As he prepared to begin his conquest of Earth, this was meant to set the stage for a massive battle in Justice League 2 and 3 that was quickly abandoned after Zack Snyder departed the project before release. Martian Manhunter debuts. Well, I guess I should say something there, huh? Well, we all know the story, and that would have played out in those two films. Ultimately, Justice League 2 ends on quite the cliffhanger itself, in which Darkseid seemingly wins. So then the third film is pretty much a lot of the nightmare scenes and the time travel element they had to use through the Flash to prevent what happened. And ultimately they do. But apparently Batman would not survive. So anyway, Martian Manhunter debuts, once again, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Martian Manhunter made his only DCEU appearance in the ending of Zack Snyder's Justice League as he met with Bruce Wayne. He also showed a scene of him outside Lois Lane's apartment, and it revealed he was the Martian Manhunter. But anyway, the movie confirmed Harry Lennox General Swanwick, who also appeared in Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, was the Martian superhero in disguise. The Justice League icon clarified to the Dark Knight that the fight is not done, and Darkseid will be coming for Earth. Martian Manhunter seemed placed to join the superhero team in the future with a major role in the canceled DC sequel. Looking to the future, fans will hopefully see Martian Manhunter in live action again soon, perhaps finally along with his solo project. But it almost certainly won't be this version of the character, and Lennox will presumably also be recast as that's to be expected. Oh well. The Nightmare Timeline, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah. Boy, it all comes back to that, doesn't it? Across his DC movies, Zack Snyder laid the groundwork for the Nightmare Timeline as a possible future where Superman becomes the tyrannical ruler of Earth and Batman's insurgency resists his reign following the death of Lois Lane. The future heroes sent Barry Allen back in time using the cosmic treadmill to warn present-day Batman of the danger to come and the importance of Lois Lane. The Nightmare Timeline was expected to be the focus of Justice League 2. Well, it's the focus of all three, and it would play out in the third one. But anyway, under Snyder, but as that will not come to pass, the future will never be explored. It almost was, but they changed direction again when they decided to do DCEU. So here we have the original Wonder Woman lives. Well, she wasn't playing Wonder Woman. She was playing another character in there that was referred to in the 84 movie, but no one really wants to remember the 84 movie. The first one is excellent. 84, no. So Wonder Woman 1984 referred to an ancient Amazon warrior called Asteria, who had supposedly sacrificed herself to save her people. The original owner of Diana Prince's golden armor was revealed to be alive. Well, you mean Asteria was revealed to be alive, not the armor. In the post-credit scene, and played by former Wonder Woman actress Linda Carter. While some may speculate the scene was purely intended as a fan service cameo, it was. Gal Gadot confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter in November 2021 that Linda Carter would appear in Wonder Woman 3. Okay, but she'd probably be there to give her a pep talk or something. I don't know if they were going to explore the whole story and whatnot. But anyway, first of all, Linda has mentored me from the very first moment that I got cast as Wonder Woman. She was always there, talking to me, giving me tips and everything. She's a true champion of what Patty and I have been doing, and it was so great that we managed to find the right opportunity to bring her to the last movie, and now to the third one. It's even better this time. I love her very much. I love her dearly. Well, not happening, so won't be followed up on. I mean, it makes a nice little cameo and all that, but it's a forgettable movie, unfortunately. And unless they had some story idea to play into the armor and her story and all that stuff, I guess that's where they were leaning. But, well, of course, any hope of seeing this union of the two Wonder Women actresses has now been dashed, following the cancellation of the threequel and the likely recasting of Godot as the Amazonian Justice League hero, or heroine, as it were. Weasel survived the waters, the Suicide Squad. Yes, he did. And I don't really agree with this being put in this list, because I think you are going to, in animated form and maybe even in live action form, as James Gunn's versions of Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, and all that live on. And of course, Weasel is a member of the Creature Commandos cartoon, which will debut this fall. So I mean, for the most part, I think those narratives in that version of Suicide Squad can continue with very little explanation. There should have been an explanation, but the Flash movie didn't really do that, as they promised and were dishonest about. Yeah, I know they ran out of time, but still. The opening of the Suicide Squad as two teams of villains landed on the beaches of Corto Maltese proved to be a bloodbath. Weasel was among those to die. Well, I mean, yeah, drowning in the sea before the team even made it to land. But he coughed up the water and he was fine. So he seemingly died, but he didn't. But the post-credit scenes revealed an uplifting twist with a child killing. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Mammal as Weasel awakened from his apparent death, scarping off along the beaches of Corto Maltese, setting up more future appearances. And now, DC Studios, well, okay, they make mention of this, which defeats the whole purpose of this being in the list. DC Studios CEO James Gunn directed the movie. This will be one of the DCEU's few cliffhangers to be resolved. Well, then it doesn't belong in the list. Weasel will return later. Yeah, Creature Commandos. All right. This is stupid. Here's another one. She's coming back. So this and this particular storyline will be resolved. That's the whole point of her series. So Waller exposed to the world. It was Amanda Waller's daughter of, Adebayo, I believe it was. I can't remember. I know they pronounced it. Why can't I remember? I did like the show. Anyway, who exposed to the world the following events of Peacemaker in a press conference. Adebayo cleared Peacemaker's name and outed Project Butterfly and Task Force X to the world, exposing the U.S. government and Waller for their actions. Viola Davis's Amanda Waller is one of the few DCEU characters confirmed to return in the reboot, meaning this cliffhanger is likely to be explored further in the coming years. Well, pretty quick, because she's getting her own series. It's going to deal with her being exposed. Between Peacemaker Season 2 and Waller, the Argus leaders... Was she a leader of Argus? I guess, yes, it went back and forth. Anyway, leaders' public outing may prove important across multiple DCU projects. Well, yeah. So this ought to be particularly important in Waller, which will be... Okay, Weasel and Waller, two W's, should not be on this list. They're going to get further stories for them. So, and they're not just going to drop it and she'll just be playing a different version of Waller or anything like that. No. She's going to have to deal with her being exposed. So anyway, Black Adam versus Superman. Black Adam. What? Yeah, I mean, I know, yeah, that's the movie it was from, but I mean... Yeah, boy, that was the exciting moment, wasn't it? Yeah. I kind of wish they just hadn't done it at all now, you know? I mean, that's the sore spot that's going to sting, you know? Hopefully everything works out for the new movies and stuff, but what was that about, you know? Anyway, and what will go down as one of the most infamous DCEU cliffhangers, oh boy, You're not kidding. Black Adam's post-credits scene set the stage for Henry Cavill to return as Superman 5 years after his last appearance with Justice League. This was all meant to head toward a clash between the two mega-powered heroes years later. But alas, DC Studios ended the plan as Cavill was replaced with a new, younger Superman, and Dwayne Johnson announced he was done with DC movies, ending Black Adam's story just as it was getting started. And of the movies that are pretty much considered the leftovers, Black Adam, I think Aquaman actually beat its numbers, but it was the most profitable, or made the most money of the group of movies that were cut off at the knees because they announced they don't matter anymore. Well, I mean, it went a big way for it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods was not as good as the first one, but it really wasn't that bad. And Blue Beetle wasn't that bad either, but yeah. So anyway, Shazam joins the Justice Society. Yes, for a couple of seconds. Having been a hero for several years and saved the day multiple times, I don't know about several years, but anyway, the post-credit scene for Shazam! Fury of the Gods saw Argus agents Amelia Harcourt and John Economos recruit Billy Batson to the Justice Society. But fans never saw Shazam take the Argus duo up on their offer to join the likes of Hawkman, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher on the roster. So it was never made clear whether he ended up joining the Justice Society. In terms of the future, this is where things get a little confusing, as Economos and Harcourt will be sticking around in the DCEU thanks to Peacemaker Season 2. But that doesn't necessarily mean Levi will, as Zachary Levi will return as Shazam. See, that probably he could have had a cameo and that had this gone forward, but it just didn't, you know. And the movie didn't do well. It didn't deserve to get ignored, I didn't think, but it was. So that's that. That's how the cookie crumbled. And this one, oh man, even worse. This one I really wanted to see happen. Dr. Savannah and Mr. Mime. I guess they were saving it for a third film, but okay. Fury of the Gods' second post-credit scene was rather similar to one from the 2019 first movie. Mark Strong. 2019. Oh, yeah. Mark Strong's Dr. Savannah, once again, that's right, they did this one, found himself face-to-face with the talking caterpillar, Mr. Mime, played by Shazam franchise director David Sandberg, for a tease of a team-up between the pair. Arguably one of Shazam's biggest villains, yeah. Most assumed Mr. Mime would be the sequel's villain after he appeared in the 2019 movie. But that honor went to the Daughters of Atlas, and once again, this post-credit scene left most assuming Sandberg was planning to revisit Mr. Mime for Shazam 3. Well, they should have jumped ahead and forgot about the Daughters of Atlas, I think. But that's not how it went. As of now, despite Zachary Levi's close relationship with DC Studios co-CEO Peter Safran, most are expecting the hero won't return for the reboot. As such, Shazam 3 appears unlikely, meaning these two villains probably won't return. So, yeah, probably. That's too bad. And this one doesn't really count. It was done as a joke. But anyway, George Clooney is Batman at the end of The Flash. So, after an adventure filmed with Michael Keaton and a cameo from Ben Affleck, well, a little more than a cameo, but yeah. The ending of The Flash saw Ezra Miller's Barry Allen arrive in a new world where Batman was instead played by Batman and Robin's George Clooney. While this may have felt like a setup for Clooney to appear as the Batman in The Flash 2 or another DC project, no one really thought that. That was seemingly never the... No, it was just a little joke that they did to try to... I don't know. They thought a little tee-hee would salvage that disaster, but it's too bad. It didn't have to be bad. There were possibilities I saw in that movie, but, well, it didn't happen. Anyway, the updated ending was filmed after Gunn and Safran set out plans for a reboot, and the former was clear. Clooney is not the DCEU's new Batman. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have enough time. If the Flash movie was supposed to be this reset of everything, you needed somebody from the new world to be in it. Now, of course, they didn't want to continue with Ezra either. Probably should have had another character, or another actor playing Barry Allen. And I mean, supposedly it's Matt Reeves putting his foot down, but they probably could have just had Robert Pattinson show up at the end and, collapse the two into one. And then you recast your other superheroes as you have, but whatever. So far, the heroes confirmed to exist in that world include Miller's Flash, Clooney's Batman, the Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and the Jason Momoa's Aquaman. They seemingly continue living there while DC focuses on a new universe with recast actors. Yeah. Ted Kord is alive. Now, this is another one that may or may not continue, but they put it on the list anyway. The original Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, disappeared long before the events of Jaime Reyes' first adventure and was presumed dead. But the post-credit scene shut that notion down as a distorted video message to his empty superhero lair saw Kord send out a message to his daughter Jenny, revealing he is alive. As James Gunn has described Blue Beetle as the first DCEU character, which he said at the time, and that doesn't necessarily mean it sticks, indicating Zolo Merduena will reprise his superhero in the reboot. There may still be hope for Ted Kord's return. After all, the scene might lay the groundwork for one of the upcoming DCU Max series, Booster Gold. Yeah, Booster Gold and Ted Kord's Blue Beetle work better together than the Jaime Reyes version. Now, there's a similarity in age and whatnot between the two, depending on how they do it. I don't know. But yeah, the thing about the Blue Beetle movie, it's pretty much a standalone movie. So you could just pretend all that happened. And it's a similar situation they're going to go with Peacekeeper and Suicide Squad and all that stuff. So I say, well, those events happen. If you want to say it's another universe, it just happened the same way in this one. And there you go. So if they want to pursue Blue Beetle further, I don't know about a full-on sequel. Maybe, because it didn't do well, but, what have you. But yeah, Booster Gold series, maybe both Beetles will show up in that. Who knows? So will any DCEU cliffhangers get resolved? Well, the ones I just mentioned, especially Waller and Peacemaker and Weasel and all that, done. It's going to happen. The rest, no. Unfortunately, over the years, the DCEU has struggled to maintain interest because it wouldn't actually have a narrative. It had nowhere near a cohesive narrative that the MCU had. There was one. They just kept 11th hour changing it all the time. So it's sooner or later you got to poop or get off the pot. But they tried to do both, and it just makes a mess. Anyway, this drop in interest has only become more apparent when turning attention to last year's 4D. Well, yeah. As such, none of these blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you get the idea. Blue Beetle, possibly. No. No. At least not in that form. No. And no, unfortunately, that's too bad. If we just could have gotten one Man of Steel movie, a sequel. Whatever. Yes, she'll be back. Yes, he's back. Probably not unless there's another cameo for her in their next Wonder Woman project. No. That's it. Okay. So, kind of sloppy work on the article, but overall, you get the deal. I don't know. I just thought I'd do it. So there you go. So long, DCEU.